Gio Reyna will not make the 2026 men's national team roster for the World Cup. Here's why. Alright, let's get into this video. Before I begin to talk about Gio, I want to talk for a brief moment about Mr. Eric Winalda. And shout out to Eric for following me on Twitter. Now, the reason why I want to talk about Winalda, two reasons why. First, just off rip, if you haven't seen his interview he did on the Kickin' It podcast, which is hosted by Dempsey, Charlie Davies, there's some other guys on there, and the woman who's married to the boxer, forgot her name. Winalda's interview on the Kickin' It podcast, he's too real. He kept it so real, and he has the balls to keep it real. So after watching that interview, my respect level for Winalda went through the roof, basically. And so I bring that up because it's relevant, because I watch, Eric's content, and he talks about, he's supportive of Gio Reyna. And so bearing in mind, and this plays into the commentary that's really relevant to this whole topic, which is like, as you go up in the ranks of, high-level soccer, it becomes a game like any other industry in business where you want to say the right thing, in order to appease the right person. But you also want to keep it buttoned up, which Eric goes crazy and says the most wild stuff. So he has my respect because he just kept it too real in that interview, and he was able to also articulate things that have happened to me as a player that I knew happened, but I'd never heard someone articulate it so well to make me realize, like, oh, wait a second, like, that happened to me, and I feel the same way, but I've never even thought about it, So shout out to Eric. But now let's talk about Gio Reyna. And this is relevant to what I'm going to say, which is this. If you catch me at a barbecue, right? Let's say in the next, the weather's turning. I'm at a barbecue, and I'm off camera. You walk up to me and you say, Mike, what do you think about Gio Reyna? I'd come back and I'd say, this is completely candid off camera, but I'm giving you the real opinion because I don't have any stake in the game. Although I'm wired in and I'm connected more deeply than you imagine, if you know who I am. We'll get into that later. But off camera at the barbecue, walk up, what do you think about Gio Reyna? 3 words. He ain't ready. He ain't ready. But now let's talk about my opinion of his playing style, who he is, everything. So let's just gloss over. We got to mention it. The 2022 World Cup. I watched a couple of the games. I watched the knockout game. I used to have my TV set up in front of my bed, whatever. It's a whole nother thing. I watched the knockout game. And I guess in this World Cup, he got garbage minutes, right? And his parents, his father happens to be a famous national team player himself. And I guess his mother played for the women's national team. I don't really know. Gio Reyna got garbage minutes in 2022 in the World Cup. His parents went and made a complaint to the federation that he should have got more playing time. And then they added in a stipulation, or they added in a little extra sauce in there, and they made allegations against the head coach at the time to try and cancel him or bury him, get him fired. It's pretty wild to do that. It's reckless. And before I want to mention that because I want to explore this talking point, which is it's kind of relevant to this. And what it is the concept of players that get hyped, right? And is hype always a bad thing? And this is the way I look at it. So he didn't get enough playing time according to his parents. And it's a classic cliche stereotype. Over-involved parent then goes to the coach and causes a big scene, But what's funny is that if this was a club team, they would just yank him off the team and go to a different club. How do I know? Because it happened to me 50 million times as a kid. So you go club to club, and I went club to club, whatever. You could check that out in my book. I got a copy over here. More thoughts in my book. Journey to the NCAA, Soccer American Style. Available on Amazon. Link below. But we'll talk about the book more. But hype. And why is hype important? And what can you do with it? Now, this is what's interesting about this whole situation. There's like positive and negative to it. So this is how I think about hype. If you are legit and you're delivering, you don't need any hype, because what happens is everyone around you provides it for you. And this is an example. If we go play a game, I'm living in a certain geographic region. Let's say there's like a central soccer field, right, in town. We go play, there's games there every week. I play in a game there every week. What ends up happening is, if week after week I show up and I keep scoring goals, it's a lot about goals, but goals, assists, or I'm just dominating everyone clearly. Everyone around town who sees the games talks about it, and then word keeps spreading and spreading. You don't have to hype yourself. You don't have to do it, because it doesn't matter. Because everyone's doing it for you, right? But there are situations where you feel you're not getting your own due, and then you got to start to like speak up a little bit and then see where that gets you. But there's positives and negatives to it too. Because if you hype yourself but you're not able to deliver, it's not going to work. So my advice would be, if you're going to play the hype game, you have to be at the absolute peak of your abilities. And people in other sports are different, because you can maintain a level of play more linear across time. But soccer, by nature, is a game where, because it's so fitness intensive, it's like it goes through peaks and valleys and waves. So it's like I'm starting here and I got to train all the way up to get to the top of the mountain. Then one day I'm at the top of the mountain, and that's where I want to hype myself, because then you get the opportunity. And this plays into what I'm talking about with the parents complaining. Because the parents complained in 2022, it didn't get enough playing time. So the automatic, what's the word? I'm at a loss for words. Automatic reaction is like, well, he didn't get enough playing time, then he's going to get more the second time around, right? They're going to give him a chance, maybe. But if you're not able to deliver and you're not at that peak, that's it. But that's just a conversation on hype. I could have said that better, but it is what it is. But let's talk about Gio Reyna. I've watched him play. He has 32 appearances for the national team with 8 goals. In his last appearance against Paraguay, he scored a goal on a header. It was one of the easiest headers I've ever seen. He just had no one guarding him. It was just perfect head height. He barely had to jump. Did a pretty good job to redirect the header into the net. Off the crossbar net. Still pretty easy. He did what he had to do there. He did what he was supposed to do there. And that's my thing about this guy. He does what he's supposed to do. Not even really that. And let's start with his positives, right? This are his positives. Got quick feet. He's got great touch on the ball. He can serve the ball in. He has good ability to play set plays, crossing the ball. He's got great touch on the ball. He's got super quick feet. Pretty good at dribbling as well. Right? He's good at attacking. These are the negatives. Haven't seen him ever win a head ball. Haven't seen him ever win a tackle, basically. He looks a little bit slow and sluggish, like behind the play. In fact, if you want to be totally honest, when I watch him play, in my head, I'm kind of thinking, like, how is this guy pro? Because he doesn't look like he's really at the level. That's why I say he ain't ready. And people, I'm not the only one who's criticizing, because you can see there's tons of criticism about work rate, which is another way to put it that, you know, he's not doing enough that what he needs to do. And explains why. He's not getting a lot of minutes at his club, which is Gladbach. And then in 2022, he got benched. So, will he make the team? And would I put him on? I think it's up to the discretion of the coach. And, you know, it's interesting because he does have positives where it seems like he might be clutch, right? Where if he gets the ball at the right time, with the right amount of space, and perfect situation, then like he will do the right thing, because he's very good with the ball. So in that context, it's like, yeah, he's okay. But it seems like facing adversity, he's not that great. He doesn't seem like he's really, and this is another comparison we'll make. Let's do it. We'll wrap the video with this. So he came through the academy system, right? And he's got good touch, and he's athletic, and he knows how to attack. Doesn't seem to know how to defend at all. Doesn't seem very rugged at all. he's got quick feet, and he's like somewhat fast, but he doesn't really seem like he's got the full package. He's not a complete player, you know? Like, can he play a full 90 at center mid and be effective? Like, for example, and I wasn't even a fan of this guy, but you got to commend him for his internal engine, which is another coach's son situation with Michael Bradley. Michael Bradley, if Gio Reyna had Michael Bradley's work rate with his touch, then we're looking at, like, it's not even a question. So, and that's what he's got to do. He's got to make it so, he's young too. He's got to make it so it's not even a question. And so how does he do that? This is how you do it. If he's on the fence and he shouldn't make the team, and I'm Pochettino, you don't make it. Or you make it as the last man on the roster, and you don't get any minutes in the World Cup. You're just there to observe. Because what that does, and people go, oh, it's not fair, it's not fair. Look at his performance. He's good at his club. He scores goals. He scored a goal in the Paraguay game. Yeah, but he ain't ready. And when you get benched, guess what ends up happening? It's like potential energy. It starts building up. Look like a beaker. It starts building up and bubbling, and then you start getting angry. Because if you really believe in yourself, you start getting angry and you say, I deserve it. I want to prove, right? And he's still young. I think he's only 22. Another World Cup in 4 years, right? You build towards that, and you become the player that is the star and everything. So that's my take. Make him more angry. I don't think he's there yet. What else did I want to say? Well, I think that's enough for now. The video's gone on pretty long, but we can compare him to other players on the team. But yeah. Oh yeah, this is what I want to wrap up on. So everything I said, he could still make it, and this is what I would do too. There's more friendlies coming up before the World Cup starts. I think they're playing against, I know they're playing against Germany, and I think the other one, I forgot who the other game is against. But in the remaining friendlies, you try him out again, because in the last time he showed up and played, yeah, he had an assist and he had a goal, but the goal was easy. It was a gimme, and the assist was like he did what he was supposed to do. So he's like barely, he's got his head above water, he's treading. That's what it looks like to me when he's playing. He's like barely hanging on, you know? But you put him in again, and I think what you do is you start him in the second half at center mid, and you say, here's the keys to the whip. See what you can do. And, you know, see what he does. But that's my thoughts on Gio Reyna. Yeah, more thoughts on him to come, because he's interesting to talk about, because there's so many different layers to who he is. But that's about it. And he's got good chemistry with Pulisic, so maybe you want to put him in there, sat just behind the forward, so we can serve balls into Pulisic, score some goals. Anyway, until next time, more videos coming soon. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.